So Bill, this week the EPA gave us their final ruling on their 2015 and 16 renewable fuels mandated blending volumes, and they were higher than what was proposed in June by 200 million gallons in biodiesel and 500 million gallons in ethanol. And Bill, why do you think they raised their mandated volumes from the June proposals?
Well, in the case of ethanol, one reason is because Americans are driving more, and that means more fuel being consumed, and that means you can blend more. There's still that blend wall. Second factor with regard to ethanol was the EPA mentioned that they thought that the penetration of E15 and E85 was going to be larger than what they had previously expected, so that more people were buying E85 blends or E15 blends because more stations were offering them. And I guess they're also making the assumption that it's those higher ethanol blends are going to be price competitive. So I think it's mostly increased consumption is the main reason that EPA raised its mandated levels from what they had originally proposed back in June.
Of course, this was a positive for the market, but break down, if you can, what exactly it means for the soy oil balance sheet.
Well, for the soy oil balance sheet, there's lots of moving parts. One of the parts that's moving that wasn't even discussed is that apparently there's a proposal that's made some progress in Congress to switch the $1 per gallon biodiesel tax credit, if it's renewed and made retroactive, from blenders to producers. And so that's just another element in the mix. Basically, if there is an increase in the biodiesel mandate, globally, more veg oils and other feedstocks will be used to produce biodiesel here in the United States and consumed. So anything that increases the total consumption, global consumption of veg oils and other feedstocks. Now, it's important to remember that I think it's about 55% roughly of total biodiesel produced here in the United States comes from soy oil. The rest comes from other feedstocks, one of which happens to be corn oil, which is extracted from DDGs at dry mill ethanol plants. So that's another source. Now, what this means in terms of prices, well, we've seen some of the effect right now. In this past week, we've seen soy oil prices go up roughly 10%. But we saw something similar happen in June when EPA came out with their proposed increase in mandates. And then the market set new life of contract lows. So I think what we're seeing right now is the same kind of poorly informed market reaction, expectation that this is going to have a bigger impact than what it appears to have, and that we will down the road see an adjustment to it. So lots of things are going on in the marketplace. Veg oil prices are up. That's helping support the soybean market, but we may see a reaction down the road and give up a lot of the gains that we've seen recently.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's taken us a full week to really understand what the potential impacts are, and if they may not be great, still the market's going to shoot first and ask questions later, and I think that's exactly what it's doing.
Well, we also have to consider that, in my opinion, the biggest unknown in the soybean market right now, in the near term, is when and how much of Argentina's 16 million metric tons of soybeans that are being held in reserve, how much of that is going to hit the market once the new president is inaugurated December 10th? How big of a devaluation will there occur, and how will farmers react to the lowering of the export tax? That, to me, over the next 4 to 8 weeks is probably the biggest unknown. The second biggest unknown is not EPA mandates, it's weather in South America. I mean, what are you seeing in terms of weather developments in South America right now?
It's been very good, and it's been getting better and better every day this week, which I think is important because we're just now entering the time when it's critical to determining yields and production, not just something to talk about. And so it looks very normal, I'd say, no threats, which is really the case every year. It's hard to get a drought going in northern Brazil, and that's indeed what's happening. It's getting wetter and wetter, and it looks to stay that way into the last part of December.
So what do you think producers might be thinking about in terms of if we do get further strength in the soybean market based off the EPA and some other factors, what are we recommending producers do?
Well, we're going to sell rallies, I think, because not much in the balance sheet has changed as far as we can tell. And even the ethanol mandate, we're already producing more than enough to meet those higher mandates. So it doesn't change the market all that much. And if anything, it will send a signal to South American farmers to plant more. And there is a window, especially in Argentina, to get more crops in the ground between now and, say, the first week of January. So it may be the wrong signal, but it is sort of in a shoot first, ask questions later mentality. But we're going to look to reward those rallies at some point in the next couple of weeks. I'm Ben Buckner, and this is Dr. Bill Tierney, and this has been an Ag Resource video update with more to come next week.